So let me go back to the course syllabus. The only thing that you really need is the access code, and perhaps if you have the ebook, that would be great. If you have an old edition of Tro, that's fine as well. Okay, that's what you need for this class. If you are in lab, then the lab manual is available online, and everything is done virtually. So you don't even need a lab coat or safety goggles. Anyway, I will talk to you guys who are in lab at 6:45. Let me move on. So these are the students' outcome. Again, basic idea of the topics that we are going to be covering. And this semester, we're not going to do the ACS standardized exam. Each instructor will create their own standardized exam. Okay, and the exam I create is going to be based on my lectures, my Zoom lectures. Okay, this is the schedule. You can see right away that today we're pretty much going to devote to just covering the class, the course expectation, and then maybe a review of Chem 200. We cover a little bit of intermolecular forces on Wednesday. We do solution chemistry, concentration, and then we do kinetics. And I will have assignments throughout the class because I don't want the final and the midterm to be heavily weighted. So these mini quizzes are going to be part of your cumulative grade. And generally, if you want to pass this class, it's a race to 600 points. If you get 600 points or better in this course, then you will earn at least a C grade. If you get 900 points or better, that means that you probably get an A. Sometimes I lower it a little to as low as maybe 890. Some semesters I do it 880. It depends on your classmates and where the distribution lies. So again, I'll talk about that when we talk about a syllabus, but this is basically the schedule for this spring. We cover the textbook pretty much in order, except when we get into equilibrium, we go from chapter 16 and then part of 17 that talks about heterogeneous equilibrium. And then we finish that off, and then we go to 16, which is acid-base chemistry, and then we cover the rest of chapter 17. So that's the only break in terms of going in the order in which the textbook is laid out. After equilibrium, we hit acid-base chemistry, then thermodynamics right here, then electrochemistry. We finish off the semester with transition metal chemistry and radiochemistry. We do not cover organic in this class, okay? There's too much material. In the past, we covered organic, but we just realized that there's too much material to cover in 17 and a half weeks. And so we just threw out organic, and you guys will cover that when you hit Chem 230. Anyway, let me move on. If you read the rest of the syllabus, it just tells you about the policies of the course, that you guys really should read the content that we're going to be talking about in the lecture. That way you're prepared and you can be engaged in the course. You can be active in your learning process. In other words, that's the buzzword around is active learning. Active learning means that you're not just hearing words and it's going in one ear and going through the other. You actually engage in the topics and writing down questions or writing down your concepts or your interpretation of that concept. And then if there's any clarification, you guys will always have the option to go into the discussion board for that particular week or that particular session and ask questions. And the idea is to exchange. Have a conversation with classmates, and then if you guys don't get it, I'll chime in and kind of help you out in terms of understanding that concept. Okay, but that way we can build a community in which we can help each other out. Although we can help each other out, keep in mind that you guys are responsible for your own answers, especially when it comes to quizzes and exams. You want to understand the concept, because when you guys take the MCAT, there's no one that's going to be beside you, or you're not going to be able to use Google to find that answer. So try and learn the important concepts and keep it in your mind. That way, when you do decide to use these concepts in the advanced class, it's there. Okay, don't cut corners. So again, reading and keeping up with the class is very important. The homework is based on the end of the chapter. The homework's kind of, let me try and explain the homework. Okay, there's 3 sections for the homework. The first is like a preview. Preview just kind of gives you, when you go into My Lab and Mastering, you see, for example, in chapter 13, a preview of concentration. Try those. I think there's a maximum of like 4 problems, 4 points. If you get those, then you get 4 points. Or if you don't get those, don't worry. They're just supplement work. But if you, whatever points you accumulate, that carries over to the main homework. The main homework's worth 10 points. Okay. If you don't get all the problems there on the first try, do it again. You get multiple tries. So it will benefit you to start early and read the questions and make an attempt. That way, you know if you're in the right directions. And usually My Lab and Mastering will tell you if you're just off because of rounding off error or something. You get multiple attempts. I think somewhere in the order of about between 3 and 5. And so let's say you scored 8 out of 10 there. If you scored 2 out of 10 in the preview, that adds up to 10. Now, certain homework, there's something called adaptive learning. And adaptive learning simply means that the computer will look at the problems you had difficulty on and make recommendations in which you guys can try and basically hone your skill and those concepts that you may miss. And maybe those are worth 2 or 3 points. So maybe you get 1. So that you've accumulated 2, 8, and 1. That's a total of 11. You don't get 11, you get 10. Okay. But you have a chance of accumulating a total of like 16, 15 points. Okay. But if you go over 10, it goes to 10. That way, if you like get 3 in the first one and only get 5 in the main one, and you don't do the adaptive, you still get 8. Again, the homework counts as 10 points per chapter per assignment, and you can't get more than 10. But it's good to know that if you've accumulated more than 10, then it means that you've really mastered that material. Okay, so don't ask me for extra credit in the homework. You get extra credit in your attempt to get to 10 points. And when you're done with the 10 assignments, there's actually 11. 1 is dropped. That'll be a total of 100 points for the homework. Okay. Your attendance will be based on you guys meeting in Zoom. If you log in and you decide to go somewhere else, then I don't know. Okay. But that's the way we'll try and handle attendance, or turning in assignments or completing assignment. It's a cumulative thing. It's about participation. Okay, so that's what it is. Don't try not to miss 7 Zoom meetings, because if you have excess absence, then I have the right to drop you. Okay, usually I don't if you're doing well, but it will give me an idea that something's wrong, and I'll usually email you to see what's going on. I know it's been tough. I remember last semester where a student would be working really hard, and then all of a sudden their whole family would catch COVID. And now that particular student is the caretaker for the whole family. If that's the situation, we understand the hardship that you guys are going through. And so you need to let me know. If it's past the withdrawal deadline, we can do a petition for late withdrawal. Okay. So with the vaccine coming out this spring, hopefully we'll have herd immunity by early summer, but who knows? Okay, something always happens. There's going to be a curveball. Something happens in which unexpected surprises come. And so if you need to do a late withdrawal, or you have circumstances that is beyond your control and you're just having a difficult time, then let me know. If you're having a difficult time understanding the concept, let me know as well, so that I can help you out. Okay, we really want you to be successful in this class. I know it's a gateway course in order to take organic in your upper division class, but it's a fundamental class because if you're a science major, chemistry is the central science. If you understand chemical behavior, if you understand how to solve these problems, then you will be that much better in dealing with situations as they arise when you go to your upper level courses or when you start your career, especially if you're going to go be a medical profession. Okay, if you're in the medical profession, you better know your solution chemistry and you better know your acid-base chemistry, because in the medical profession, there's a lot of solution chemistry and acid-base chemistry that you are going to deal with. So that's what this page is about. When you guys are going to be graded, here's the criteria based on there's a syllabus quiz, there's homework, and there's like what we call that breakout rooms activities, and that'll all accumulate in terms of giving you points for the course. But there are 4 main quizzes, and these are called sectional quizzes. The first quiz covers like solution chemistry and kinetics. Second quiz covers equilibrium. Third is acid base. Actually, your midterm's acid base. And all the topics that we've covered up to that point is also fair game. So if you are, if we're covering acid-base chemistry is going to be the emphasis, but you better also know your equilibrium and your solution chemistry. Then we hit on the third quiz, thermodynamics, and then on thermodynamics and electrochemistry. And then on the fourth quiz, we do coordination chemistry and nuclear chemistry. Your final is cumulative, but it's going to be the core topics that you really need to understand as you move on in this class. Okay, so this is the breakdown. This page gives you the breakdown of the assessments and the assignment, and these are the breakdown points. I always conduct my class in terms of 1,000 points. So you know that one quiz, which is 100 points, 10% of your grade. You know that your midterm, which is 150 points, is 15% of your grade. The final, which is 200 points, is 20% of your grade. So please keep that in mind in terms of how this class is structured. I say that if you are 65 and above is a C, but usually I drop it down to 60% and above. It's not hard to get 600 points in this class, but if you don't do any of the work, you get a big fat 0. And if you get a whole bunch of zeros, it's very difficult to make up 600 points, okay? At the same time, I do give you a bunch of bonus points opportunity so that maybe in the core exercises, you've got 870, but the bonus point opportunity will get you maybe another 25. Well, that adds up to about 895 points, and that usually is good enough for an A in this class. Okay, so take advantage of those because those are not, you cannot make those up. Okay, you can probably make up a quiz if you miss a quiz, or one of them is dropped, but extra credit opportunities, once the deadline is passed, generally there are no makeup. That's because it doesn't count against you. Okay, it only helps you. So please keep that in mind. The rest of this just kind of tells you about being prepared in this class, making sure that you adhere to the deadline. When you work with others, it's okay to exchange ideas, but when you start writing down your answer, it better comes from your own head. Okay, you've got to be able to take the concepts and the explanation from me and from others and formulate it in your mind so it's clear how these things operate. It's clear that when a reaction has a stress, when you add a certain chemical, that's going to cause the reaction to either proceed in the forward direction and produce more product, or inhibit that reaction and cause the reaction to go in the reverse direction. Okay, you need to understand why that's the case. You need to be able to explain and then calculate the amount of chemicals that are produced due to that stress. Okay, in thermodynamics, if you have a certain reaction and you're trying to calculate the energy that's involved, why does it take place based on the chaos that occurs and the energy that is released? Why does that dictate whether the reaction is spontaneous or not? Okay, you need to be able to take those concepts, understand the technical verbiage that that is used to explain it, play out the dynamics in your mind, and then read the chemical or the mathematical equations that explains that. Again, it's a higher level thought process, but that's the way science is. Okay, science, if you're really a good scientist, you understand the technical language, you'll be able to visualize what goes on, and then you use the math as the language to explain that phenomena. Okay, so these pages right here basically just tells you about preparation, time management, and working in class, the absent policy. Again, it's going to be based on you guys attending Zoom. If you actually attend each meeting, I actually give you a bonus points at the end of the semester. Here, your course assessment and the honesty policy. There is a huge increase of dishonesty. I've had to deal with several students in the past because they were just basically taking someone else's report and pushing it on as their own. If you are involved in any dishonesty in this class, you probably get a 0 for that particular assignment. Worst comes to worst, we talk to the chair and you may be reprimanded by the administrators. Make sure you try not to cut corners, because in the end, you're only hurting yourself. And we have to make sure, I have to try and police the honesty conduct in this class, because it really is not fair when someone else raises the curve because they are dishonest, and there's another student that's really working hard and just can't make it over that because the curve is raised to a higher limit. So we're trying to do everything we can in order to make sure that you guys are in your honest behavior. And part of that is when we give you a question in the quiz, you're not going to have a chance to, if you answer that question and once you submit it, that's your final answer. Okay, there's no chance of returning it, going back and changing that. And that's because, again, too many times students are sharing, they're basically on their phone and sharing answers back and forth. So that's one of the things that some administrators recommend that we do for this class. Anyway, you can read this and see and make sure you are as honest as you can in this particular class. Okay. We try and go green. Now that Biden's president, he's all about going green. And we've been doing that for years here at Miramar College. When we actually do experiments in the lab, we try and use as little as possible, and we use chemicals that are fairly cheap or can be recycled, and we try not to waste things. Okay, so again, we just need to put that statement in there because we are making a big push in terms of recycle and going green in our classroom. Administrative issues and honesty policy, again, these are just things in terms of communication is the key. If you have a problems, let me know and we'll talk it over. If, for example, I'm grading things, sometimes I miss when I grade things. I don't quite see what you're trying to explain, and I may take off points, and you say, oh, but it's in this particular side of my work because you have to show work. In that case, I'll review it and make the adjustment accordingly. Of course, if I make a mistake the other way around and give you more points than what the question deserves, you don't have to bring it up. Okay, that's my mistake. But if I do shortchange you, it's not my intention of shortchanging you points. Okay, you work hard for those points, and I want to make sure that you guys get credit for what you put down on paper. So please keep that in mind. And then try and be cordial, respectful to everyone in class. Okay, so if there are misbehaving or misconduct, then I'll talk to you personally. If worst comes to worst, we might have to go to the administrative personnel, or you might have to drop this class. Okay, I think we can all be in our good behavior. These are certain things that will allow me to drop you from the course. It's in the syllabus, so it's kind of like a contract. Try not to miss 3 consecutive assignments, like one homework and 2 quizzes, for example, that are consecutive. Try and don't miss the syllabus quiz. We need to be on the same page in terms of the policy of this class. And so you need to take the syllabus quiz, which again is not going to be released until later this week, so that you have time to read the syllabus instead of just diving in, but it's not due until February 16th. If you do miss the midterm and you give me a good excuse, then your final will also count as your midterm and your final. Okay, you always be short those points, but hopefully you can make it up during the final. If remember, everything's online, we're not meeting on campus, so there should be no, your car, you can't use the excuse that your car broke down. Okay, because we're going to have regular sessions Monday and Wednesday at this time, and your exams are also going to be set in the evening at this time, Mondays and Wednesdays. So it's not going to be outside of those parameters. In other words, try not to drop. This should be 30%, not 25%. Okay, try not drop 30% of the total points that we've accumulated. For example, maybe after 4 or 5 weeks, we've accumulated 300 points total, 2 quizzes, a bunch of homework, and some other assignments. So maximum to date is 300 points. And so far, you've only accumulated, say, 40 points. Okay, so 40 points is way below 30% of the total 300. Tells me that something's wrong. I'll contact you, see what's going on, but you might be dropped because there is no way, based on that pace, you're going to be able to successfully complete this course. So try at least maintain 50% or better. And if you get 90 or even, it's been known to have students having better than perfect, over 100% in my class, going into like the 10th or 11th week because of all the extra credit I generally give out. Well, that's good. The class meetings, remember, this is based on face-to-face. I forgot to correct this, but 7 Zoom meetings. If you skip out on 7 Zoom meetings, it's kind of like excessive absences, which is a criteria for being dropped. So this should be 7. Anyway, that should be in your syllabus. If I've had to take the syllabus that we had on campus and revise it for this remote learning, and so sometimes I skip or overlook certain things in that syllabus. Okay, if I do overlook it, or there's an inconsistency between what I'm telling you and what's written on words, please let me know so I can correct it. Okay. There's actually a site in Canvas where you can click on tutoring, and it will get you to the academic tutoring services, and maybe you can get help there. The other way you can get tutoring is just set up an office hours with me, and I'll try and help you out, or post a question on the discussion board, and maybe your classmate can help you out. Okay, so we try and give you as much resource to be able to work out problems, because when you work out problems, you demonstrate that you understand the concepts. Okay, and hopefully you're not just copying it from Google. Okay, you actually have to show that you understand the concepts. So that's what we have in terms of helping you. There's also American Chemical Society club that we have on campus. Okay, if you join that, you get some bonus points from me. Not very much, maybe 5-10 points, but any points help, and I can give you more information on that. If you are a DSPS student, please let me know. There's a form that you need to submit to me so that we can make the correct accommodations. Usually that means time and a half on the exams. Okay, so please let me know if you're a DSPS student. So those are just some of the service that the college offers. This right here is District Procedure 3100. It describes exactly the honesty policy for the whole campus. This right here is famous last words, and it kind of explains why you got the grade that you got at the end of the semester. I thought this was pretty to the point in terms of you get what you put into the course. Okay, effective ways of learning. I already talked about this, the honesty policy. This is the difference between collaboration, in which you're exchanging ideas with a classmate, and cheating. So make sure you read this. There's a bunch of questions in the syllabus quiz about the difference between academic dishonesty and collaboration. Collaboration is allowed when you take it to one level deeper and it becomes an academic dishonesty infraction, then you can be cited. Okay, and then finally, this letter is from the chair, and it cites the problem that we've been having in terms of a lot of dishonest students thinking that you could just look up the answers, and you probably could, but you need to make sure that you understand, and when you write your answer in the exam, it has to come from you. If we find out that you've been plagiarizing or using someone else or something else, then actions can be taken. Okay, this right here, then the next thing I'm going to do is navigate my website and navigate Canvas. And then once we go through the navigation process, I'm going to go over important concepts that you guys should know from general chemistry. So right now, I'll talk to you about my splash page, and when you go into the course and where you find the information that you need. Okay, so let me go ahead and change view here. So let me go ahead and do this. So if you go to, or if you just Google F. Garces, this is the page that you will land to. This is, and you can see that based on the semester, I keep a running tab of the courses that I've taught in the past. And the only one really that's active is the current one right here. So you guys are in general chemistry. What you need to do is, of course, download the syllabus, and it'll give you that page right there. And the schedule, which is just giving you the schedule that's found in the syllabus, which is that right there. But if you want to get into the heart of the class, then click right here, and it'll take you to that page. This is where you will find a lot of the lecture notes and more resources. Again, this splash page right here just gives you the information that is in the very top of my course syllabus. But right here, you can go into the lecture information. Okay. And then you can also go to course notes. And this tells you the different chapters that we are covering, and the units. The unit 1 is going to be your first quiz. We cover a little bit of intermolecular forces, concentrations, and kinetics. So sorry about that. Don't know why that changed page on me. It was, here it is. Okay, if you click on any one of these, it takes you to the lecture notes that I will be using in Zoom. Okay, of course, it's a PDF file. The lecture notes that I present in Zoom is a PowerPoint file that is more dynamic. But if you just want to see what topics are going to be discussed, then you can easily just click in any one of these links right here, and it'll give you the PDF file. So that's where you will find this particular the important information for each of the topics that we will be covering in this class. There's Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, and Unit 5. Unit 4, I believe, or Unit 3 covers your midterm. Okay, your midterm is going to be through acid-base chemistry, and then when you take the midterm exam, it's going to be acid-base chemistry, heavy emphasis, equilibrium, solution chemistry, and a little bit of intermolecular forces. If you want to see questions I've asked in the past, click on sample exam right there. And if you go to this right here, it's broken down into specific topics. If you click on kinetics, these are questions I've had in the past. If you want to see the answer, let's go back. Then the answer is kind of tricky. If you look real closely, there's a colon between chapter 14 and kinetics. If you click on that colon, then it gets you to a different link and it gives you the answer. Okay, so try and do the practice quiz without looking at the answer. But if you want to see the answer, then go back to that page and click in the colon, and you will see the answers and the worked out solution. So again, not obvious. My website sort of encrypted in certain ways. The acid-base chemistry, the solutions right here, it's the dash, not the colon. Okay, so again, that's resources that you guys can take advantage of. Let me go back. That's your sample exam. Lecture guide, just again, it gives you an idea of the topics that are covered. My Lab and Mastering, it gives you an idea of how to access My Lab and Mastering and how to get it through Canvas. So you got to watch this video. And then that's the lecture portion just right here. Let me next go to Canvas. Okay, and you need to log into Canvas. So what you can see right here is that these are the classes. You guys will go right here for Canvas class. And when you open up Canvas, you'll see the announcements that are right here, as well as the different links that are right here. So usually if you just click on the announcement, you will see what is pertaining for that particular week. Okay, go back here. If you click on homepage, it actually gives you the most recent announcement, the last 3, as well as quick links to my homepage, as well as other places. Okay, the syllabus, of course, just gives you information about the course syllabus. If this needs to be updated, then it'll be updated here as well. Modules is where you're going to spend most of your time. Modules is where you're going to find the lecture notes that is linked to my homepage, as well as the homework that is going to be linked to My Lab and Mastering, as well as the quizzes. So right here, this just gives you information about the course. You can use these chevrons to collapse that. Okay, this is just information here. Collapse that right there. And these are the previous Zoom sessions that I had when we first, our first meeting back in, if you click on that, these are all the Zoom meetings that I've had for the different section. It's all here, and it's based on the lecture notes that I covered. Like this is chapter 15, and it's lecture notes 15.1. This will be chapter 16, and this will be lecture note 16.1. So it's all found here if you want to review those particular topics. So that will be found under modules, at the very top. Okay, accessing PowerPoint notes, they're right here if you want to do that. Again, there's a lot of resource, but they're all basically giving you the same information. Like if you go to 15.1, whether it's PDF or PowerPoint, the information is the same. It's just a different format. Okay, let's go to module again. Let's take a look at module 00. We're going to be talking about this after I give you a tour of Canvas, okay, because this is the topic that I want to really make sure you guys know before we start Wednesday, because it's important as far as what fundamentals you guys need to understand. So let me go back. Okay, and then let me collapse that. This right here is module 1. This is your first quiz is based on this. It's going to be intermolecular forces, solubility, concentration, and then kinetics. So you can see that it pretty much goes in the order of the book. Chapter 11, we skip 12, we go to 13, then we go to 14. When you are done with these right here, at the very end, you're going to see the quiz that pertains to that particular question. It tells you the due date. You have to complete it by February 21st. It opens on a Friday morning, but closes on Sunday before midnight. Okay, so you have all weekend to complete this, and it tells you how much time you have. And each one of these, I believe, are worth 100 points. Each of your quiz, module quiz, is worth 100 points. So this is where you find that quiz. It's basically on the module. In terms of the homework, you have to go to My Lab and Mastering. And in My Lab and Mastering, you just have to go over here and go to the assignments. And then you can look at, it should pop up. Okay, here are all the homework. And let's just take a look at chapter 14. Chapter 14, there's a what you know. That's the preview that I told you about, okay? That is going to be due by the 19th. That's basically the first week that we start covering it. It has a very short review time span in which you can work on it. If you skip it, not to worry. The main homework is right here. It's due like on the 7th of March. It's available from the 12th of February, but it's due on the 7th of March, and that's worth 10 points. And then the adaptive kicks in after the due date, and it's due 2 days. You can work on it earlier, but it's 2 days after that due date. So these will comprise the points that you get for chapter 14. If you get more than 10, you only get 10. But this is where you will find it in My Lab and Mastering. Okay, so you have to click right here. If you guys need tutors, click on here, and this will take you to the Academic Success Center, and perhaps you can make an appointment to get some tutoring. But of course, you can always ask me. So these are the links right here for that. Let me go back, and the quizzes, you guys are not going to be able to see this, but these things are where I create the quizzes. This is where the assignments are. These things just work on the background in terms of what assessments I've created to be launched in the module. Okay, the module is really where you need to stick to. So that basically is Canvas. Try and make sure you understand how to navigate. Again, the place where you guys are going to get points are in the homework, My Lab and Mastering, and in the module, the sectional quizzes. Okay, so it's about 6 o'clock. So let me spend the next 15-20 minutes talking to you about what you guys need to know in terms of carryover from Chem 200. Okay, so I think right here, let me get out of this real quick. Okay. I need to go to my my Dropbox and find that. So let me go ahead and get to this particular section and Gen Chem review. So let me open this PowerPoint. This will also be available in terms of the lecture notes, stuff you should know for general chemistry, and it's to help you prepare for the ACS, means the American Chemical Society. If we are a program that's accredited by the American Chemical Society, we have the standards that is set across the nation in terms of what chemistry you guys need to learn at this level. If you successfully complete this course and you go to another university like Berkeley or UCLA, we would have given you the same type of education as undergraduate students in those particular college. Just a little bit background about myself. I was born in the Philippines, but I was raised in Guam. Okay, so educational system in Guam isn't very strong. I learned a lot of bad grammar habits, and it still carries over to my adult life. When I was writing my dissertation, there was my poor dissertation advisor, graduate advisor, had to do a lot of corrections, but I've overcome it and I was able to submit my dissertation and got my PhD. But like I said, I was raised in Guam. I went a year, my senior year, to live with my relative here in college in California so I can get residency. Then I went to decided that Northern California was too cold, so I picked the college that was furthest down south, and that was San Diego State. So I went to San Diego State and got my chemistry degree. In fact, one of my professors that I had over 30 years ago is actually one of our adjunct professors now. We actually hired him. So he remembers me, but it just goes to show you that we have close ties with all the colleges here, all the universities here in San Diego. I went to San Diego State, majored in chemistry, got out in 4 years, did a little stint in chemical engineer, decided it wasn't for me, so I went to Santa Barbara and got my PhD there. It's actually one of the best experience I had. I was able to hang out on the beach mostly, but I was able to do a lot of work in between and get my PhD. After that, I went to New York, Columbia University, and did my postdoc, and then came back to California, did some adjunct work, actually worked at the University of San Diego. I also taught one summer at San Diego State as well, my alma mater. And then this position was offered to me 25 years ago, and they enticed me with the fact that they were going to build a science program and get new buildings. Of course, what you see in the background here in my screensaver is the new 2 science buildings that we have, and I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished here. But I've had a lot of trial and tribulations in terms of trying to understand the concepts and then be able to explain the concepts to my students. So I find out that probably very rewarding to help the future generations. I could have been a researcher, but I really like helping you guys out as you embark in your careers. So again, the fundamentals of chemistry, what you need to bring in order to be successful in this class. So let's take a look at this right here. The basic fundamentals are you need to know your gas laws. And the reason why you need to know your gas laws is because there's going to be many situations in equilibriums, thermodynamics, where we are going to determine the amount of chemicals we have based on the pressure, the volume, and the temperature. And that means that you guys need to know PV equals nRT, okay? In fact, in equilibrium, it's critical that you know PV equals nRT, because what you find out in PV equals nRT, the V divided by N is the volume over the moles, or the N over V is the moles over the volume. That's concentration. Molarity, moles per liter, okay? You can have molarity for gases as well as solutions, okay? So that's why it's important to know your gas laws. You need to know dimensional analysis, because that's the fundamentals that you really need to put down to work any problems. So if you did not learn dimensional analysis very well in Chem 200 or even 150, please go back, because that is such a core skill you need as you embark in science. Of course, we need to know the units that we're going to be using in science, the metric system. We need to know about chemical reactions, because we are studying chemical reactions in this particular course. The dynamics of the different chemical reactions and stoichiometry, of course. You need to understand the chemical formula. If I give you a chemical name, you should be able to take that chemical name and convert it to a formula. And then you need a little understanding of the structure, because the structure allows you to see how the chemistry plays out. So these are things that you need to bring in from Chemistry 200, okay? In Chapter 11, these are the important high points that you need to understand, that you also covered in Chem 200, phases of matter, the solid, liquid, gas, and then of course there's actually a fourth phase, plasma. Plasma state is probably the most abundant state, but not here on Earth, okay? Intermolecular forces, know what London dispersion force are, know what dipole-dipole interaction forces are, hydrogen bonding, and then ion dipole interaction. Properties due to intermolecular forces. Why are boiling points higher for some chemicals versus others, even though they might have similar molar mass? Okay, it has to do with the intermolecular forces involved. Heating cooling curve. This is what happens to a chemical as you apply more energy to it or you take away the energy. It goes from a solid to a liquid to a gas. When it goes from a solid to a liquid, there's an equilibrium there where both solids and liquid coexist. Okay, the melting of ice. The melting of ice, you have water and ice in the same vessel. When you're boiling something, you have the coexistence of gas and liquid. There's actually a condition where you can have all three phases: solid ice, gaseous form, and solid. That's called the triple point. Okay, and that's explained in the phase diagram. Then what we have here is solution chemistry. Understand the chemical nomenclature. Okay, chemical nomenclature, again, is their formula. Chemical reactions in solution chemistry. When one solid is dissolved into a solution chemical and a precipitate forms, you guys should be able to tell me, oh yeah, that's a double displacement reaction, that's a single displacement reaction. These is the identity of the precipitate that forms. Intermolecular forces is used here as well. Solubility rules. Why is potassium nitrate very soluble in water, whereas silver chloride is not? Okay. Most molarity and concentrations. You need to bring that to the table when we cover chapter 13. When it comes to kinetics, you need to understand the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution plot that was covered back in the gas laws. Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution plot basically gives you an idea of the energy of a aggregate of chemicals at the same temperature. Just because all the molecules are at the same temperature, that doesn't mean they have the same energy. Some will be slow, some will be fast, but there's a profile described by the Maxwell-Boltzmann curve that shows you the relative energy to each other at that temperature, okay? All chemicals will not have the same energy just because the temperature is constant, but there's going to be an average in there. Again, you need to know about concentration calculations, and you need to know a little bit about thermochemistry, not thermodynamics, but thermochemistry. Thermochemistry explains about systems and surroundings, and whether when a reaction releases, it's an exothermic reaction. When it absorbs, it's an endothermic reaction. Okay, so you need to understand that. That's what you're bringing in from Chems 200. There's a lot of topics here, and if you didn't get the fundamentals, then this is a good review slide, so you can go back and relearn those topics, or at least sharpen your knowledge in these topics as we hit each of these chapters. Equilibrium, you need to know about gas laws because we deal with gaseous chemicals when we do equilibrium. You need to know about solubility rules because a lot of the reactions that we are dealing with are chemicals that are dissolved in water. Inorganic nomenclature, of course, stoichiometry, concentration calculations, and thermochemistry. Heat is exchanged when we have a chemical reaction, and heat can influence whether the reaction will be more efficient or less efficient. Okay, so that's what you need to know when we hit equilibrium. This right here is acid-base chemistry. We covered a little bit of acid-base chemistry in general chemistry, but see, in general chemistry, you guys just covered one type of acid-base chemistry, strong acids and strong base. That is when you have acid, it 100% of the time breaks up to its hydrogen and its anion. That's what we call strong acids. So you only covered that in general chemistry. There's another world out there where we have weak acids and weak bases. And that's the majority of the world. And you guys need to know how to work problems dealing with that. You need to know Lewis structure because you need to see how willing that hydrogen is going to be easily popped off from the molecule. And if you know a little bit about the structure, you know exactly why some chemicals are more acidic than others. You need to bring in equilibrium from the previous chapter. You also need to know a little bit about stoichiometry. And then titration. You guys covered titrations in general chemistry. We will be doing it more here. But titration is nothing more than a chemical reaction. What's happening is you got a burette, you're adding, say, a base to an acid. And when they mix, a chemical reaction takes place, a neutralization reaction takes place. Okay, that's the whole idea of titration. What you're doing, of course, is you're quantifying it so you can figure out, you can measure the volume of base added to the analyte so that now you can calculate the concentration of that unknown in the analyte. That's what titration is all about. Okay. Thermodynamics, you need again to know about the structure, the bonding theories. You guys did bonding theory, molecular orbital theory, or VSEPR. You guys covered that towards the end of general chemistry. You need to bring in equilibrium. See, it's a building up process. You use the prior knowledge to build the foundation of the new topics that we are going to be covering. Okay, thermochemistry, again from general chemistry, Hess's law. Remember, the sum of the parts equals the whole part, the whole, okay, and intermolecular forces. Then we already did acid-base chemistry. Let me see why I'm jumping around here. It's not, yeah. We did acid-base chemistry. This is thermodynamics. We already covered that. Electrochemistry, right here. You need to know about redox reaction, electron transfer. You covered redox reaction when you covered in the beginning of chemical reactions in general chemistry. You need to know stoichiometry. You need to know inorganic nomenclature, solution chemistry, equilibrium, thermodynamics. Those are the things that you need to bring to the table when we hit chapter 19. Okay. Then we hit coordination chemistry. You need to know about periodic table and periodic trends, the elements in the periodic table, because that's what makes up these coordination compound. In fact, the central atom in the center is transition metals. Okay. Inorganic nomenclature, quantum mechanics. Why do we need quantum mechanics? Because we need to look at how the d orbitals interact with the, they're called ligands, the electrons in the ligands that are coming in to form these compounds. You need to know a little bit about Lewis structure and then valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Those are the things that you need to bring in for coordination chemistry. Nuclear chemistry, it's basically the same as 150, is it 151 or 152? Intro chemistry, okay, some colleges is 151, some colleges 152, but it's basically, it's a good thing we're having this as the last topic, because by then you guys are burnt out, and so this should serve as a simple review. We're not doing any organic chemistry, so you can skip that. Okay, so those are the topics that we need you guys need to understand, and then there's more details here, okay, as we go into each chapter, okay. So the next chapter that we are going to be hitting is a little bit about intermolecular forces. I'll give you a brief overview of that, but I really want to hit solution chemistry and concentration calculations. And the reason why I want to hit that in our next meeting is because for those of you in lab, your first activity, which is on Wednesday, deals with concentration conversion. You need to be able to convert molarity to molality or percent concentrations. So we will hit that on Wednesday. But basically, that's what I wanted to share with you, just to give you an idea of what this course is about. It's a tough course, okay? And that's because there's a lot of concepts that are being covered. Try and pace yourself. When you have misconceptions, you need to ask questions, because once you have a misconceptions and you make it grow, then you're further away from the main topic, and then that's where mistakes come in. Usually what happens is that I give you a question, and then you apply the misconceptions that you develop on that, and then you're solving the problem incorrectly. So you need to make sure that you understand the fundamentals that will help you understand why that answer for that question is arrived that way, or what's going on. So let me just see if there's anything in the chat. There's no questions in the chat. That's basically what I have for you guys. For those of you in my lab, we will meet at 6:45 instead of 6:40. Usually that gives me some time to take a break and then set up my computer for that particular aspect. But if there is no other questions, that's all I really have. Yes, what's up?
For lab, if I have Brent Hamioka, is his lab going to be similar to yours?
All the labs at Miramar, I'm the author of the lab manual, actually, okay, since I'm the senior most person, but everyone's running on the same schedule. So when they are doing activity number 1 on Wednesday, we are doing activity 1 as well. Okay, they are using the same schedule that I developed for OChem 201 lab at Miramar College. I don't know what they're doing at Mesa or City, but I do know at Miramar College we're keeping to the same schedule for all the labs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? If not, thank you, welcome, and please communicate with me so that I can help you get through this class, okay?